Hey guys, so I'm actually in my living room and I'm doing my homework for history class. I'm wearing my husband's sweater because it's freezing in my living room. I wanted to take this moment because I wanted to talk about college and mommy life. And I haven't really noticed anyone acknowledging mothers that go to college. And I'm one of those moms that go to college. Been to college before I had my girls, but as time got rough, it was hard to go back when you have kids. And it's much harder. Before, if you didn't have any kids, it would be easier. But times are hard, so people make these decisions to drop out of class or not go back. Drop out of class and not go back. And then there's some that just drop out of class, but then they go back. Me, on the other hand, I did go to college back in 2005. That was the first time I started. But then I wasn't really into college work and stuff. So I just didn't pay much attention my first semester and I did pretty bad. So I transferred to another school that I was recommended by my cousin, and it seemed alright because it was more around my area and it was easier for me to travel because the first college I went to, it was kind of far for me. So this college that I transferred to was much easier to travel, and I took classes there, but again, I wasn't really into doing these classes because I wasn't sure what I wanted to study, because when you go into college, you're going into figuring out what is it that you want to do with your life, and I didn't find that yet. So going into college, like, I wasn't really, like I said, I wasn't really into it. Then after a while, I figured out what I wanted to do, and it was in my heart the whole time, and I didn't know why I didn't stick to it. So I went from liberal arts to early childhood education, and I figured I might as well just stick with this. I just did liberal arts for a few semesters, but I had to drop out of school because I had Janelli. Pretty much I wasn't really getting enough financial aid to cover my classes, or I wasn't getting anything at all. And throughout the whole time, I was just pretty much doing nothing but being at home, and I could have taken the opportunity to go back to school, but I didn't thought of it at the time. There was like so many other things in my mind, being a new mom and all, and having the thought of how is it gonna be with my first kid. So when I had Jonelli, I I was thinking about going back to school, but I knew I had to work first because our living conditions weren't so great. So my husband really needed help financially, so I don't know, I'll be able to go back to work because before I had Janelli, I used to work and go to school. But after I had Janelli, I was like, okay, I'll go back to work and leave Janelli at a daycare, and I guess we'll help each other that way. I was just pretty much working just to cover for daycare expenses. I wasn't actually saving anything because daycare for two little babies is expensive. So I was just working, paying off daycare. Nothing for me. So after I got back to work and I was working for like a year in wireless retail, and this is when I had Janelli. I was pregnant with Amelia, but the decision for me to go back to school was after I had Amelia. I decided to go back to college. I decided, you know what, it's gonna be much easier if I just stay at home, because if I'm working and going to school, it's it's gonna be too much on my plate. That I had to balance um, college work, and I had to balance my home, and I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know how's it gonna work, or is it gonna work. So I relied on YouTube, and I'm like, you know what? Let me research how mothers or stay-at-home moms organize their home and stuff. So I did that. I came across a couple of mommy YouTubers, and their suggestions really helped. That motivated me to stay home even more. So with that, I was able to learn how to organize my home and to keep it structured, and um, so it will help me balance out school. But then when I went back to school, I talked to my husband about it, and he just mentioned, you know what, maybe you shouldn't work. Maybe it's not your time to work, and maybe you should stay home. I was scared to stay home because I wasn't prepared mentally and physically to be home with two little babies. It would take an emotional toll out of me. So I didn't want to do that. I wasn't ready to stay home with two babies. Got into a depression at home, and I told my husband I have to do something. I just can't stay home and do. He didn't know what else to do. He felt the same way. He also went into a depression because it's hard if you have two people who are parents to children, and you guys are working together as a couple. Whatever you go through, your spouse is going to go through to it. If you're feeling depressed, your spouse is going to be depressed. Now, balancing schoolwork is kind of hard because professors do expect you to do an essay paper, which is due the next class date or something, or there's homework every day, so that you have to find the time to do those homework, and it's really hard when you're having kids around. What helped me was pretty much someone that I looked up to, and I looked up to my older sister. My older sister, she's the first out of us six to graduate from college and actually receive two of her degrees. And she went to school, she took care of her daughter at the time. I mean, she only had one kid at the time when she was going to school. No, she went to school part-time, but she had to work full-time. That I admire what she did, and that really, really helped me um, really reach my goal. And pretty much my goal was to graduate from college and finally start a career job where my working hours would be flexible with my home hours. Time management is very important, and it's true. You have to have time management. You have to manage your time in what you do. So I was able to learn how to do that. I had a schedule. That was another thing that helped me too. I set a schedule. It's important to set a schedule to know what's gonna happen next. I put in my girls to take their naps, and while they're taking their naps, I start doing my homework. It became difficult, and then I tried to put them to bed early so I could at least have at least 3 hours of doing homework from all my classes. The first time I tried it, it worked out fine, and then after a while, it just wasn't working out. But I knew that the most important thing is to manage your time. Our schedule was kind of difficult because my husband works at night, so he really couldn't stay with the kids during the day because he needed that time to rest, to get out to go to work. So I would be with the kids most of the time. I mean, we are a very that's an important key in a relationship when you're doing something challenging in your life. You have to have a partner that's willing to compromise. And we've done a lot of compromising. And after my first semester, I thought I did great. I thought I did okay. I realized that childcare was getting kind of difficult for me because daycares in colleges are a great help. And that helped me because I didn't have to worry about picking up my daughter late or paying extra. I mean, I did have to pay extra, but it wasn't a lot extra. And it had a big flexibility, and that's something that I really liked a lot. I was able to put Janelli in the daycare in my school, and I'm glad I was able to find a class that balanced everything out. I mean, the schedule for that class was perfect. I only need to go to school and 15, an hour and 15 minutes for 2 days. For 2 days out of the week, so that's pretty good. And I'm actually almost done, and I'm very proud of myself. So I'm really working really, really hard to make sure I graduate because I just want to graduate and get out of college because this is just too much to handle. But I mean, like the quote said, In the word impossible, when you read it closely, it says possible. So don't think that anything that you want to do is going to be impossible, because you are possible and it's possible. And of course, with the strength of the Lord, it's possible. And I'm blessed to have that strength to be able to do it. And I really thank those YouTube moms who have the ability to stay home with their kids, but also share their experience and their advice to mothers that are home. And of course, I want to acknowledge all those college moms that do go to college and stay home with their kids, that no matter what your struggles that you're going through, you're not alone. There's like millions of mothers out there that are still going to college, and of course there are some that are struggling like I was struggling, but like they said, there's always a light in the end of the tunnel. So make sure you have your mindset into graduating, and I know you can do it. If I've done it and I'm still not finished yet, but I'm gonna finish, then you can do it. If I went through all those headaches and look how far I've come, I mean, I've come a long way. But I'm proud to say that it all paid off. It really did. And now that Janelle's in pre-K, in elementary school, it's a much more easier. And since Amelia's with me now in my college center, that's also given me enough time to actually focus on my class. And if you can't do 5 at once, don't worry about it. Just do 1 at a time, 2 at a time. I mean, college is there. It's not going anywhere. Even though we're getting older, but college is not going anywhere. It's there. So just take your time. I mean, that's the best way. Just take your time and make sure that your mindset is to graduate, and make that a focus. And don't lose that focus. No matter how hard the troubles are in your life, don't make that, don't lose that focus. And remember, when you're graduating from college, it's because you're starting a new lifestyle for your child, and you're showing them a great example that you finish college, they can do it too. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm trying to finish because I want to set an example to my girls that if they want to go to college, of course I'm going to approve it, but I'm not going to force them if I didn't do it. So now that I'm doing it, I'm able to let them know that it's okay. You can do it. You can study whatever you want to study to be whoever you want to be. So I'm still praying that I get my degree and start my career job, and my life would be a little bit more easier than what it is now. But for now, I'm truly blessed for what I have and who I have in my life, and I'm happy. I'm really happy. So I hope we get to acknowledge more of these women that go to college, because it's not easy, and I know it's not easy. You guys are not alone when you're going to college, but you guys can make it. We can make it, and we can make it happen. So I hope my story influenced you in finishing college and never letting go of your focus, which is graduating and setting an example. Because being a college student and a mother of 2 is not easy, but it's entertaining and challenging, and it's a life lesson, and I'm okay with that. So I guess I can end this conversation because I have to head back to doing this crazy essay paper for this class. I'm working really hard to pass this class, and I hope I do. But if I do, you guys will know. I will give you guys an update on how I'm doing with my class and how I'm doing at home, managing it, because it's not easy managing your home, and of course doing classwork. But I guess I will see you guys next time.